Hi guys, Henry here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Samsung Galaxy A72. This is my long-term review after 3 months of use, and how has it been so far? Is this still a great phone? So this is really a big phone, and for those with little hands, you may find this one a little bit of a slab to handle, but it's a smartphone that has, for the most part of the last 3 months, ticked all the right boxes that the average consumer would want in a smartphone. It costs about $380, which translates to $190,000 if you live here in Nigeria, and it follows a hugely popular Galaxy A70 and A71 from 2019 and 2020 respectively. But before we dive in for more on the Galaxy A72, take a second or two to tell the like button how handsome you think he is and give him a high five. You can also ask your friends to say hello to the like button as well. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not yet a part of this channel. Let's begin. When I look at the Galaxy A72 against the Galaxy A70 and the A71 before it, it's obvious that Samsung has pretty much stayed true to the value offering promised by the A series. The A70 was one heck of a phone, and it had all the right specs for the price point it came in at. And everyone I know that uses that phone today are still pretty much very happy with their purchase. The A71 was a rave amongst Samsung fans, and it again had an excellent price to feature ratio, and the sales from the A71 were quite robust. Those phones were very balanced mid-ranges and left most people who bought them quite happy. But does the A72 meet up to what the A70 and the A71 offered? So this is a 3-month-old phone with a non-removable 5000 mAh battery that supports 25 watts of fast charging. I can boldly say that this phone has pretty much got an impressive battery life. At 5000 mAh, you're pretty much covered for a full day of use, and I haven't noticed any degradation in the last quarter. I charge the phone just once a day, and I don't have to think about charging until the next day. This is a huge convenience, and I don't know about you, but that just saves me a whole lot of headache of charging multiple times in a day. You can juice up the battery in just about an hour using that 25-watt charger. Now to the feature that you spend all your time with on this device, the display. The Galaxy A72 has got a great screen. It's probably the best feature of this phone. It's a 6.7-inch 1080p 90Hz AMOLED display, and it has a peak brightness of 800 nits. It's also got a 20:9 aspect ratio and has a pixel density of 394. The display on the Galaxy A72 looks great. It's an AMOLED screen, so yeah, you get all the vibrant colors. Videos look great on that 6.7-inch screen, and being a 6.7-inch 1080p screen, it looks pleasing to the eyes, and you'd be hard-pressed to see the pixels on the screen. You've got options to set this display to 90 or 60 Hz, and while 60 Hz might save you a bit of battery life, I just advise you set it to 90 Hz and forget it, as this gives you a sliver of extra smoothness to the device. Now, overall, the screen on the Galaxy A72 is beautiful, and you probably have no complaints about this one. Speaking of performance and variants, you have 2 versions of the A72. One comes with 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, and the other ships with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. Both variants support micro SD card expansion. Now, come on. This is Samsung giving you all the options to make it really difficult for you to ignore this phone. So essentially, you're covered for the next 2 to 3 years on this phone with regards storage. It's also kind of weird that Samsung includes the expansion card option in this phone and not in their flagship devices. Well, moving on. Multitasking is handled with grace, and gaming is no problem here. We've got the Snapdragon 720G CPU and Adreno 618 GPU running all the calculations and graphical processing here, and it performs quite decently. It scored decently on Antutu benchmark, which places this phone at par with the likes of the Redmi Note 10 Pro and the Nokia 8.3 5G. Gaming was mostly smooth, extra thanks to that 90Hz display, although you notice performance drops in extended play times. Surfing around the OS on this phone, you get good performance, but there were times when I could notice frame stutters, and sometimes the phone gets stuck and will need a few seconds to clear its head. But performance overall was good. I scored a 7 out of 10. This device comes with an IP rating of 67 for dust and water protection, which is a good thing, because this gives you some measure of comfort knowing that you won't have any issues if you mistakenly drop this phone in water. The A72 also ships with stereo speakers to give a more immersive and really loud output via the external speakers. This phone has a 3.5mm headphone jack, a USB-C charging port. You've also got FM radio, NFC, Bluetooth 5.0, and a host of other sensors to basically make this offering irresistible. But let's talk about the cameras from now. Now, one of the main things that consumers look for when planning to buy a new phone are the cameras. People want phones with good to great image quality. But does the Galaxy A72 meet up with regards image quality? Well, short answer, yes. This phone packs 5 cameras, 4 behind and 1 in front. The selfie camera is a 32 megapixel f2.0 26mm wide angle camera, and it takes pretty clean images with balanced colors. It also gives you the ability to fit in more people in your selfie shots. Images from the selfie camera were decent. I was mostly happy with the output, although I noticed a little bit of a blue hint in the images produced. Well, the selfie cam will shoot videos at a max of 4K at 30 frames per second. Flipping over to the rear, we have a much better camera island design compared to what we got with the Galaxy A71. This island houses a 64 megapixel f1.8 wide angle lens and an 8 megapixel telephoto lens with OIS. There's also a 12 megapixel ultra wide lens and a 5 megapixel macro lens. Look, we're at that point where shelling out $1,000 for a smartphone is becoming less attractive. With phones like the A72 and the results you get from this phone's camera, you're pretty much covered. Images from the 64 megapixel camera were sharp and colorful. It handled dynamic range and highlights pretty well, and I had really little to no complaints about the cameras on this one. The telephoto lens also has OIS built in and can zoom in up to 3 times optically, and the images from the 3 times zoom look sharp and pristine. So in conclusion, the only downside that I see to this phone and that I can think of is its size. I think it's a bit too big, and Samsung could have shaved off some millimeters on the left and right of this phone. That aside, look, for $380, which is 1/3 of the price of a Galaxy S21 Ultra, you're getting a pretty sweet deal with this phone. It's got beautiful design, it's got great specs, really nice features that should keep you happy for another 2 to 3 years. I think that the Galaxy A72 is a well-balanced mid-range smartphone that doesn't break the bank. I think it's also safe to say that Samsung stayed true to their value proposition with the Galaxy A72, and it gets a recommendation from me. If you're looking for other devices that perform similarly to this device, you should take a look at the likes of the Redmi Note 10 Pro and the Nokia 8.3 5G. Those phones are pretty decent as well. Well, that's it for this video. If you like this review, I'd like to plead with you to smash that like button so this video gets recommended to more viewers. Also, consider subscribing to my channel for more reviews like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.